computer repair company with service centers in Lincoln, Omaha, Papillion, Des Moines, and across the country via the Schrock desk. This is Compute This.
Good morning, folks. Welcome into Compute This. My name is Thor Schrock. I'm the owner of the Schrock Innovations Computer Company. Number to join us on the program this morning if you want to ask a question, make a comment. Join us at 888-250-2091. That's 888-250-2091. Show's recorded between 7 and 8 a.m. on Sunday morning, so if you want to call in and be a part of the program, give us a call at 888-250-2091 between 7 and 8 a.m. on Sunday morning, because that's when I'm here. That's right. All right, so if you missed last week's program, guys, you missed a whole bunch of stuff. Last week we told you, we put out a call for a holiday special. We call them testers in the service center. That's not really the right word. Early adopters would probably be a more accurate marketing term for it. But basically, these are people who want to get holiday special laptops and desktops ahead of when the general public is going to be receiving them. We've delivered a few of the laptops. We're still working on the desktops. We're waiting on the cases to arrive. They take a little longer when they ship. But I was shocked with how quickly. Normally, you guys have heard this over the years. It's like, oh, we're still looking for testers. We need, one more of this or one more of that. No, we've got our testers. Like literally the day of, we're good to go. There's a lot of interest in this year's holiday special, and there's a lot of cool new tech in there too. So it was definitely something. You're gonna love the holiday special this year, guys. It's been everyone who's touched it has been like, whoa. In fact, there's one on display in the desktop is on display in the Omaha Service Center, getting ready for the launch here in about 10 days. Also, we told you about some new malware that's trying to trick you into installing fake updates to your computer in order to install ransomware on your computer. So this is an update that's masquerading as the new Windows 10 22H2 update, trying to get you to install ransomware on your Windows 10 computer when it's not really an update. So we told you about that. We also reminded you to reboot last week because it was Patch Tuesday and there was a bunch of updates to reboot from to get you ready for the update that was coming after that. And we touched on how reliant the Ukrainian military is on Starlink and why that is and how that came to be. On the program today, if you haven't already heard, which if you're running Windows 10 and have Safe Upgrade, you should have heard, because we sent phone calls, we sent emails, we sent text messages, we sent the whole enchilada. Windows 10's 22H2 update has been released. So now, no matter what Windows computer you are running, Windows 10 or Windows 11, there is a 22H2 update for your system. As expected, the 22H2 update for Windows 10 doesn't really change a whole lot of Windows 10. There's no new features added. There's no new protections added. It's more of a roundup and an inclusion of a bunch of features and benefits all together that were updated through previous patches. In the old days, we would have called this a service pack. But now they have to release it as an entire operating system to change your version number to keep you compliant with the requirements to be within a certain number of versions of Windows 10 in order to receive security updates. So a lot of people, the Windows 10 22H2 update went way smoother than the Windows 11 update did. I would say maybe only 10% of our Safe Upgrade customers had to have some kind of assistance. And of those people who needed assistance, many of the calls were related to like, how do I reset my Schrock password to download the software? Or I downloaded the software and it didn't do anything. Now what? Well, did you run the software? Oh, you got to run it? Yeah, you got to run it. You got to click. There you go. Now you're good. So, silly little questions like that. There were a few people that were not able to install the update. Most of the time it was because solid state hard drives were full. We had a couple of customers whose hard drives were completely full, and it was like, there's no room, can't install the update. And there wasn't anything to really clean up. They just needed a bigger hard drive. And so, little normal reasons why the update wouldn't take were prevalent, but, nothing that was out of the ordinary, unlike the Windows 11 22H2 update that was a complete and utter donkey show, and still is. We still have customers whose Windows 11 update is telling them that their hardware is not compatible, even though they're running Windows 11 already, and it makes no sense. So we continue to work with those customers to get them updated. 888-250-2091 is the number to join us on the program. Coming up on the show today, we also, this sounds really boring. Trust me, I'll make it so it's not boring. But monitor connections. This has come up repeatedly in the service centers, partially because, how do I put this? Over time, as technology changes, Schrock upgrades our computers that we offer to offer newer technology, right? We're not always super loud when we do this. We don't always bells and whistles because, number one, somebody who bought their computer like a month ago might be like, oh, I should have waited a month. I would have got a better motherboard, and somebody who bought their computer who's thinking about buying now might say, well, I'm going to wait a month because I might get a better motherboard, and that's a stupid reason I might get a better motherboard. You're into tech when you're like making your purchase decisions based on the motherboard of the computer. Well, we're going to talk a little bit about monitor connectors because one of the old connectors is becoming less and less prevalent in computers. And as a result, when you buy a new computer, there is the possibility you're going to need to buy a new monitor as well. And this is something that's going to come it's a big part of the decision-making process to buying a computer because, a monitor can add a couple $100 cost to a computer, and that could be the difference between deciding whether you buy a Venture or buy a Holiday Special, for example, because the Holiday Special desktop comes with a monitor. So we're going to talk a little bit about monitor connections. What are the different types of connections? There are 4 different types of connections. How can you tell them apart? And which one should you be using if you have the capability to do it? So what order should you be using them in? From best down to not as great, or oldest, I should say. So we're going to go through that, and I promise, guys, I'll keep it interesting so you don't get bored with it, but it's something that every day in the Omaha Service Center, I'm seeing customers asking questions about their monitor, asking about buying adapters when they buy new computers because their monitor is not compatible. It's one of those things that we haven't had to think about for 15 years because everybody's had a VGA port. Well, that's not the case anymore. Not every computer has a VGA port now. And as a result, some people with older monitors are finding they have to replace them. So we want to make sure if you're in that boat, you at least know you're in that boat. Also, Scammer Roundup. Oh my gosh, all week long, guys. Updates. People, they call into to the service center, and in the background, you can hear it like, your computer is infected with ransomware. And it's like, call the 800 number. And people are like, should I call the number? And we're like, no, for heaven's sake, don't call the number. Don't even ask that question. Don't call the number. So we're going to do a quick scammer roundup on the show. We're going to tell you what the current scams are that are going around. There's a brand new one to tell you about, which is scary because it bypasses just about every antivirus program, every consumer program out there because it doesn't actually save a file to your computer at all. So there's nothing to detect from your detections that you download. So that's kind of scary. But we're going to tell you the latest stuff going on there, the latest social engineering scams, how people are tricking you into letting them into your computer or tricking you into believing you need something that you don't, and then what's happening as a result of that. So we're just going to do a whole roundup. So it's something to listen to make sure that you or your family members don't get hit by this. If you get a call from someone, they say, oh, I got this message on my screen that said I had to install an update, and I went to install it, and weird things started happening. Well, then you'll be able to tell them what's going on if you know what's going on yourself. And then finally, there's been some developments this week in the CHI ransomware breach. It's now confirmed to be ransomware. You heard it here first, guys. What was it? 3 days after it happened, we're like, yeah, it's ransomware. It's got all the hallmarks of ransomware. And it turns out that it is now confirmed, 2 weeks later, that it is indeed ransomware. What does an institution go through when they're trying to restore this? Some systems are starting to come back online for CHI. We said it'd be about 2 weeks if you have a ransomware infection, whether you pay the ransom or not, to get your systems back up and running, just because that level of disruption among interdependent systems is very difficult to recover from. It's kind of like restarting an economy after you shut it down for a year. You turn everything off, and then you're like, okay, what order do we have to turn it all on again in? Oh, wait, not only that, we have to build it first, then turn it on. Oh, I'm sure this is going to work out great. From backups that may or may not be good. So anyway, I'm sure that the IT staff at CHI is having a great time with it, and we wish them the best of luck with it because it's not a fun thing to deal with. But we're going to give you an update as the current state of affairs surrounding that situation. 888-250-2091. So as I mentioned, Windows 10 22H2 was released this week. So if you do have a copy of Safe Upgrade and you live under a rock, it is now time to run your software. I told you I'd tell you here on the show, and so I am. But basically, you want to make sure you run that 22H2 software. The Windows 10 software that we're running, there was a typo in the software release that I suppose we could have gone back and edited it and figured it out, but by the time that we identified the situation, almost 85% of people had already run their Safe Upgrade software. So there is a pop-up during the installation that says that your version of your antivirus is not good enough. And it's not supposed to pop that up to people who are running Sophos, but in some cases it did. And some people were concerned because, hey, I have Sophos, I don't know what's going on here, and they stopped installing. That was a large number of the phone calls we received were regarding that update. If you run your software and you come across that antivirus warning and you're already running Sophos, basically the purpose of that warning is to, if you're not running Sophos, is to say, hey, we can't confirm that you're virus free if you're not running Sophos, so you should be running Sophos. And you can click continue. So like if you had Norton 360 and you want to stay with that for some reason, you could just click continue. In this case though, I want you to just click continue to move past that screen. We are completely re-engineering the Safe Upgrade software because Microsoft is re-engineering their update process and they're being a little vague about it. Windows 11 received its first Microsoft Moments update last week. You may not have noticed that Microsoft moment, but that's the point. They're trying to make the updates smaller with more regular addition of features rather than making you wait 6 months and then adding a massive amount of change at one time. They just want to slowly change things on your computer instead through smaller updates that don't require a complete reinstall of Windows. It's almost like a complete reinstall of Windows is a problematic process that causes issues for people. Yeah. So good news there is you'll probably need Safe Upgrade a lot less in the future going forward, potentially once every 3 years as opposed to once every 6 months or once every year. So there's some good news there on the annual spend front to maintain your computer for sure. But in the meantime, it's important whether you're running Windows 10 or Windows 11 to make sure you're running the 22H2 update. So I'm going to tell you briefly how you can check your computer to see if you're running that update. Because if you're not, you should be. And if it's not, and if you're not running it, there's a reason why you're not running it. Something is not right. You need to fix something or do something. So in the lower left-hand corner of your screen, if you're on Windows 10, that's where your start menu is. On Windows 11, it's about 4 inches to the right. It's toward the middle of the screen. But I want you to right-click on your start menu and then left-click on System. So right-click on the start menu, left-click on System, and then this is going to open up your System Properties window. In here, it will tell you what version of, under the Windows version information down about halfway down, it'll tell you what version of Windows you're running. It might say 21H1. It might say 1909. It might say some other number, but what we're looking for is 22H2, 2022 second half. You want to run 22H2 on your computer, and that will keep everything working the way you want it to work. You'll get your security updates because if you fall more than 2 revisions behind, you no longer get those updates. So Windows 10 users, like I said, the Safe Upgrade has been working really well for Windows 10 users. Windows 11 users, the whole upgrade, not the Safe Upgrade component of it, but the entirety of the upgrade has been problematic. So we continue to assist people with that who need it. If you don't want to mess with Safe Upgrade, you don't want to check your own computer, you just want to bring it in and have us do it, we're happy to do that for you. If you have a maintenance certificate, now's a great time to bring that in too. We can kill 2 birds with 1 stone there, get your maintenance done and get you upgraded to 22H2 to make sure that you're current on everything and do a general checkup of the whole computer there as well. 888-250-2091. We have a full bank of phones loading up here, so let's get into one of these calls and make sure we get these people helped. Craig, welcome to the program. How can I help you today on Compute This?
Hello, Thor. I appreciate you're taking my call. I
No sweat.
I'm kind of have a little bit of a delay, so I'm just going to bust right into what's going on. You kind of partially answered my question. So I have an older Asus laptop. I know that I can't run the update to Windows 11. New solid-state hard drive you guys put in December of 2019. I tried to download the Windows 10 upgrade with the Safe upgrade, and it did fail due to that full hard drive. And,
okay.
So I cleared out all my temporary files. I don't have any music on here, no photos, no Word docs. I don't do any gaming. So So there are apps on my desktop or on my desktop that I tried deleting, but they keep reappearing at like FooBar 2000, TeamViewer, all these different Specky, all these different apps. I didn't download any of them. I try to get rid of them. They keep coming back. So I guess my question is, why do I need a bigger hard drive? What's taking up all the room?
Okay. So the first thing, when you're uninstalling the apps that you mentioned, especially Specky, if you have Secure Updater, it might be downloading replacements. You're uninstalling them, and if they remain checked in Secure Updater as things that we were updating, Secure Updater says, wow, your version 0 of Specky is smaller than the current version, therefore let's reinstall Specky.
Okay.
And so you might want to open up Secure Updater and just go through the program selection and just make sure the things that are checked in there are things you actually want on the computer, so that you can uncheck Specky. You can uncheck some of those things to remove them so that they don't auto download and install on the computer. How big is your hard drive? I'm going to guess it's a 120.
Let's show into the system thing.
Yeah.
Okay. It says, let's see. It says system type 64-bit operating system.
Okay, so you're in your system control panel there. If you click on the yellow file folder at the bottom of the screen, it's going to open up the file manager.
Okay.
And then we're looking for your C drive. So find where it says computer, or this computer, or my computer. Depends on how you have your settings.
Okay, and it's under properties, right?
This PC. On the File Explorer there on the left side, there's a list of all the different quick access things. There's one called This PC.
Okay.
And then if you click on This PC, it'll show you your drives. And we're looking at your C drive, and it'll say this many gigabytes free of this many gigabytes.
Okay, yeah, I'm there.
What does it say under yours?
It says capacity 79.3 gigabytes, use 72.6, free 6.69.
Okay. So you have a 120 gig hard drive that has been basically, when you format a 120 gig, you don't get 120 the way that formatting works. It's that way with all hard drives. You get 116 or so. Then there's going to be recovery partitions and things that Windows is setting aside for its own use, which is going to reduce you down further. So basically, you have a full hard drive. It doesn't take a lot to fill up 70 gigs of data, because Windows is going to fill up 20 gigs of it with all their ancillary stuff alone. Then if you install apps, programs, even a smattering of documents and photos, you can fill up a 120 pretty quick. The other thing you worry about is when you have a solid state hard drive and it gets that full, it tends to impact the performance of the drive. It wears out really fast, and so it can run slow, like very slow. And it gets slower and slower until it fails. So, obviously, I would recommend that there's no amount. If you're filling up your hard drive, we might be able to free up 10 gigs or so, if we get really pushy about it, and that'll buy you some time. But you're going to fill it up again, and you really want to get to a point where you at least have 20% available free space, which in your case would be around 14 gigabytes. You want to get there, and that's going to protect the life of the solid state. So if we can't get down to the point where you have 14 gigs free after all updates and everything else, then it's time to look at a new hard drive. We can up you to a 240, for example. The 240 would be twice as large. Would give you lots of available free space. You would have to worry about it wearing out, and you'd be able to do all your updates. So as far as what's taking up all the space, that's a case by case thing. We can start by removing some apps and things like that. But if you restore that PC and only install essential apps, things like LibreOffice or Chrome or whatever, you're gonna take it down to you'll have maybe 40 gigs available, 50 gigs available. So you've got some data on there for sure: emails, documents, photos, things like that, videos, maybe games. I don't know, different apps and programs. There's definitely stuff there, but it sounds like it's all stuff that you're using. So that's the whole point of having a computer, right? Is you want to do the things you want to do with it. And if you're at that point where your technology is limiting your options and limiting the things that you can do, you've outgrown that technology. And yes, if you're a digital hoarder and you have 47 terabytes of data, well, maybe it's time to pare that back a little bit, but that's not you. You basically, you're living in a tiny house and you have a couch, it's like, and you don't have room for a bed now. So that's pretty much where you're at. So we need to get you out of the tiny house and into a double wide,
Sounds good to me.
All right. Thank you for the call, Craig. I appreciate it. All right. And that gets Craig in the drawing for a $25 Schrock Innovations gift certificate, which would go toward, he could put that toward doing that solid state hard drive upgrade for him. If you want to join the show, 888-250-2091 is the number to join us today on the program. We're going to take a quick break here on the show. When we come back, we got Larry and Al. Your calls are coming up, as well as which monitor cable should you be using for your computer. Sometimes you have a choice. You have multiple options. Which one of the ones you have should you be using? We're going to tell you coming up next on Compute This.
Today's fragile computers need maintenance more than ever. Your computer needs a maintenance checkup every 6 months to last beyond its 18-month expected lifespan. External hard drives are handy. You can back up multiple computers to them or even use them to move lots of data from one computer to another. Computer users have been buying the same old external hard drives for years. While our computers have been getting faster, we still do backups that take hours or watch epic progress bars creep by to move files. Schrock wanted more for our customers, so our innovators created the fastest external hard drives on the planet. Schrock modular storage devices are up to 50% faster than Seagate or Western Digital externals and are modular in the truest sense of the word. We can create whatever size and speed of drive you need for all of your needs, and all modular storage devices come with a data restoration guarantee. If you use our drives for backing up and your computer's hard drive fails, we'll restore your backup to your repaired computer for free. Fast, simple, and flexible technology solutions from Schrock Innovations. It's what we do. Compute This pro tip number 753. Have you ever wondered how the bad guys always seem to find a way into your computer? Gone are the good old days of email worms and I love you viruses. Nobody wants to steal your data anymore, or in many cases even your identity. Today's cyber criminals want to sell access to your computer or hold your data for ransom. The bad guys are exploiting zero-day vulnerabilities to break into systems that are supposed to be hack-proof. These vulnerabilities are always newly discovered, and the criminals have a brief time to exploit them before they get patched. Antivirus and firewalls do not prevent these attacks, but you can minimize your computer's exposure by installing all security patches as quickly as possible. The average computer needs 12 patches a week. That's not including the ones that are automatically delivered to your computer. Boost your cybersecurity by staying on top of it manually, or use a patch installation program like Secure Updater to get your computer the patches it needs. This pro tip is brought to you by Schrock Innovations Computer Company.
Alrighty, guys, welcome back into Compute This. My name is Thor Schrock. I'm the owner of the Schrock Innovations Computer Company. 4 locations to help you out when you're having computer trouble, when you need something, data recovery work, new hard drives, new computers. We do it all at Schrock. We have a special going on through the end of the month right now, up to $100 off of a new Schrock modular computer or solid state laptop. So it's basically there's a $25 discount on the cheap ones. The mid-range ones are $50 off, and the high-end computers are $100 off. So this is going to end at the end of October. This is going to be a hard end because we're going to go into the holiday special after that. So if you want to basically peel back that inflation onion and get things back at pre-pandemic prices, this is how you do that. So take advantage of the offer this month. If you're looking for a new PC, we're happy to help you out with that over at Schrock. Number to join us, 888-250-2091. One of the things over at the service center that I heard a lot of this week, a lot of people are buying new desktops because they're on special, like I mentioned. They're getting the new desktops home, and then they're calling back because they're saying, I can't figure out how to hook up my monitor. And I wanted to do a segment on this, a brief segment, because number one, it's not great service when customers go home and they can't hook up their monitor. It's created a training point for my staff to now ask a question that we haven't had to ask in 15 years. What color is the plug for your monitor? What? Does it go in the blue hole? Does it go in the white hole? Does it just slide in kind of like a USB? What do you got? And so even in the Facebook chat, Sebastian was saying, well, isn't HDMI the best way to hook up your monitor? And actually it's not. And he was like, what? And I'm like, yep. So that's where we're going today. So the vast majority of people have relied on ye old VGA connection for the last 20 years. It is typically a blue ended cable, or it goes into a blue port in the back of the computer. It's got 15 pins. It plugs in. It's got 2 screws. You screw it down in there, and you've got video. This works for very low quality video. So this, like I said, it's 20-year-old tech, and now you have these video cards that can crack out super stunning HD video. You're not going to get that over a VGA port. You're going to get more eye strain. You're going to get a lower refresh rate. It's 20-year-old technology, yet we rely on it like it's the best way to go. A lot of people have multiple hookups on the back of their monitor. They have an HDMI port, for example, or they have a DVI port or a display port, and they could use one of those other ones. They just got to switch the cable, and they just don't do it because, I've got VGA and it works, so why mess with it? They don't realize that the eye strain that they're putting on their eyes by not using a higher quality cable, or that the quality of the video that they're getting on the screen could be so much better. Or if this monitor has built-in speakers, they're not getting the utilization of those speakers because VGA cables don't carry sound. So the VGA cable will get the job done, but it's definitely not the best way to go. One step up from that is the successor to VGA, which was DVI, or digital video. The digital video cord is usually a white cord. It's wider than a VGA. So a VGA is about 1 inch across. This is about 1.5 inches. So it's a little bit wider. It's got 2 screws on it, just like the VGA does, but it's got extra pins. And so it can carry a higher definition signal. It can carry a full HD signal. Again, no audio, but at least it can carry a full HD signal, which is what all monitors support now and what all video cards can put out now is full HD. So at least it can carry that. So some people skipped that one, though, and went straight to HDMI. Now, HDMI carries video and audio, and it's ultra high resolution. You can go up to Blu-ray resolution or 4K resolution with an HDMI cable. And that's great. That's ideal for video. It's ideal for, it's great for eye strain. It'll carry a faster refresh rate than the digital video cord. But the king of the hill, the cord to end all cords, the one that you are definitely not using right now, except for you one guy over there. Yeah, I know. I'm looking at you. Is a DisplayPort cable, your DP cable. DisplayPort cables, they slide on kind of like an HDMI, but unlike an HDMI, they have a U-shaped center piece that basically prevents you from sticking it into an HDMI port. But the DisplayPort carries video and audio, but it carries the fastest refresh rate available, which is something that usually is only important to gamers. Why is it important to gamers? Because the video signal from the computer to the monitor, it's the fastest transmission. So if somebody pops around a corner in a first-person shooter game, you can see them pop the corner. Now, that's not important to the vast majority of people listening to this program right now. But what is important is eye strain. Sending more frames to the monitor reduces the strain on your eyes when you use the monitor. That's why this year's holiday special hooks up with a DisplayPort cable with an eye care monitor. It is such a pleasure to look at the monitor for the holiday special this year, and you don't realize how harsh your monitor is right now using your VGA cable until you look at this monitor and you're just like, I don't know what it is about it, but it feels smoother. Like the look of it, the look of the picture on the screen is smoother, and you can't really put your finger on why that is. Everything's the same size, everything's the same shape. It just it's easier to look at, and it's because it's refreshing so much faster. So if you have the choice, you should always go with the DisplayPort cable. If you can't do DisplayPort, you should do HDMI. If you can't do HDMI, you should do DVI. You should get away from VGA because none of the new modular computers at Schrock are going to have VGA ports anymore. None of the new computers you buy at the box stores have had them for a while. We've been making sure we pick motherboards that have this port on it because we know our customers keep their computers for a long period of time, and a lot of them have VGA monitors at home. Well, the problem is that technology is now like 20 years old. It's getting harder and harder and harder to find modern motherboards that have all the features and upgradability that you want, along with that ancient port. It's like, where's my abacus? It's just, we don't carry abacus anymore. Abaci? Abacuses? What's the plural for abacus? I don't know. The things you don't, somebody tell me the plural for abacus. 888-250-2091. We're going to take our bottom of the hour break here, guys. Larry, Al, hang on the line. Your call's coming up next on Compute This.
Schrock Innovations can't teleport technicians to you, but online help is only a click away with the Schrock Desk. Subscribe today and get unlimited help whenever you need it. Schrock Innovations has spent nearly 2 decades working to make your technology life easier, and SchrockInnovations.com is no exception. Now you can order new modular computers and solid-state laptops directly from our website, find innovative new technologies like our modular storage devices, and get free help and tips. Take a look at the specials section to find sales on one-of-a-kind items, display models, refurbished units, and our latest special offers. Swing by the Compute This page to watch TV segments and archived radio shows, or even get one-on-one help through the Schrock Desk. As always, we respect your privacy, so we secure our website with the latest encryption technology and only the most secure payment methods. You can pick up your purchases at any of our 3 service centers or have them shipped directly to your door. SchrockInnovations.com makes technology simple. It's what we do. And now, Compute This Pro tip number 373. Everyone knows we're supposed to back up our computers and then check those backups periodically to make sure they're working. So why don't most people do it? Lots of people have different ideas about what backing up means. Is it copying files to a flash drive? Is it using a fancy backup program? And how do you know it's working anyway? Windows makes backups easy through free software that's already on your computer. Open your control panels and click Update and Security. Select Backup and choose from all of the available options to get a regular, reliable checkup. You'll need something to back up to, like a Schrock modular storage device or some other backup hard drive. Backups usually run once a week, but you can always change the frequency. The best part is that if your backup ever fails, you'll see a notification in the lower right corner by your clock telling you something's up. Backing up your important data has never been easier, so take a moment to back up your computer today. This pro tip brought to you by Schrock Innovations Computer Company.
Fox News, I'm Pam Puso. A convicted felon is accused of opening fire at a hospital in Dallas. Police say 2 nurses were killed.
The shooter is detained at another hospital after he was wounded by a Methodist Health System police officer at the scene. According to Dallas police, the 30-year-old suspect was on parole for aggravated robbery.
Fox's Ashley Strohmeyer. An off-duty police officer who was the victim of a mass shooting in North Carolina was laid to rest yesterday. His wife spoke at his funeral.
Our story brought us to Raleigh, North Carolina, where you worked diligently to become a police officer, and you did it.
The 15-year-old suspect is accused of killing 5 people, including his older brother. America's listening to Fox News.
Now, the News Radio 1110 KFAB Weather Watch.
There's a wind advisory starting late this morning through 2 a.m. Monday morning. Winds could gust between 40 and 50 this afternoon and between 50 and 60 after 4 p.m. through about midnight. High today of 88, still windy overnight with the low around 54, and then a slight chance of showers early in the day on Monday. Otherwise, temperatures falling to the mid-50s and holding steady through the day. There's your forecast. I'm Roger Olson.
Alrighty, guys, welcome back into Compute This. Already plotting content for the Aftershock here. We're going to be doing a quick Aftershock after the program. If you want to stay tuned, Facebook.com/Schrock Innovations, where we're broadcasting live right now, actually, as well. But after the show is over, we got some things that don't fit in the program, like ancient Greek nautical calculators and things like that just have no really relevance on your HDMI cable, but, you know, still really cool. So we'll talk about that during the Aftershock. 888-250-2091. Thanks for waiting there, Larry. I appreciate your patience. How can I help you on Compute This today?
Well, Shock, good to talk to you. Excuse me. I'm having trouble with my secure updater.
Okay.
I had a Windows 13 special, and it came in September and had it upgraded so I could use Windows 11.
Okay.
And since I've been having trouble, it shows up in my startup menu at the bottom, and the symbol is in black.
Okay. So what happens when we do an upgrade on your computer, like when we take you from Windows 10 to Windows 11, it changes the fingerprint of your computer. And when that happens, Secure Updater thinks maybe you've installed it on a new computer and you don't have a license to do that. You have a license for the old computer. So what we need, this is on our end, you didn't do anything wrong. What we need to do is we need to basically retire your old computer in our system and make that license available for the quote unquote new computer, your current installation of Windows 11, to grab that license and use it. So if you want to give us a call in the service center this afternoon, this is something that takes about a minute and a half on the phone. We make a couple changes on our end. We have you reboot your computer, and then everything is right with the world. But it's super easy to correct.
Okay. Well, I called in, and I got on the shock desk, and they tried to get it fixed, and they couldn't figure it out.
Well, it's a little more complex of an issue than now, what you were describing, it sounds just like a basic, like, hey, you need a license kind of thing. So my guess is...
Okay.
No, go ahead.
Okay, so what happens is when I click on the thing, it either disappears completely off my startup menu, or it comes up and it tells me I got to log in. Mm-hmm. So I try to log in, and then it tells me it's invalid password. And then it'll come up sometimes. It says that it says do you want to allow this app to make changes to your device? Mm-hmm. And it says verify publisher Schrock's innovation, and it says either yes or no, and then it don't really do anything.
Did you click yes?
So I click yes.
Okay.
So and then I'll go into my Secure Updater, and I change my password in there. Mm-hmm. To put a new password, and then sometimes it works and sometimes it don't. So anyway, they tried to do it at the Schrock desk there at Papillion, which you got some really great guys there, and they couldn't get it to work. So they said, well, I have to get a hold of Alfonso, and I never got a hold of Alfonso. So then I called the Lincoln one, or not the Lincoln, but the Omaha one, mm-hmm. and they tried to log in. They couldn't get it either, and they said, well, they'll have Alfonso call me.
Okay.
So I tried twice to get on the shock desk, and neither one of them people could do it.
Wow. Well, that's basically when they want to bring two different technicians have told you they want to bring Alfonso in. Alfonso is so there's like Schrock Innovations, and then everyone looks and says, "Oh, look, it's Thor Schrock. Hi, owner, aren't you awesome?" And they don't realize that behind me there are some really, really awesome people that make me look good. And so Alfonso's one of them. And he's the guy that makes all the magic with the websites happen. He's the guy that makes your safe upgrade possible. He's the guy that makes the Schrock Innovations website, the whole shopping cart, all that stuff happen. He's the guy that makes your Secure Updater login. And so when you have a situation where your license is locked to a computer for some reason and we can't disassociate it with the software that we have, Alfonso goes into the database mystery and he types a bunch of strings of code and he hits enter and he goes, try it now, and it works. And you're like, thank you, Alfonso. And he's like, no problem. And if he gets the same call like 5 times, he builds a feature so he doesn't have to take the call anymore. So Larry, I've got your name and your number here, Larry. I will make sure Alfonso, with Safe Upgrade coming out this week, my guess is you're and I apologize for this, but you probably got lost in the shuffle because Alfonso was working with Safe Upgrade all week. Larry, I will get a hold of Alfonso and have him give you a direct call back on Monday when he's back in the office to get this resolved.
I appreciate your help. Thanks a lot.
Hey, no sweat, Larry. Have a great afternoon.
You too. Bye.
Bye-bye. 888-250-2091. Al, welcome to the program. How can I help you on Compute This?
Good morning.
Good morning.
Mine might be simpler than the previous gentleman. Earlier you mentioned having to have a Schrock password.
Okay.
Do I need to know that password or be able to get your service center guy to reset it when I do the safe upgrade?
Right. If you don't know your password, there is a password reset feature that you can use. You click on it just like any other password reset and you reset your password, or you can call us in the service center and we can reset it for you. However you want to do it. But basically, when you purchase Safe Upgrade, it's the same password that you entered to log in to purchase the Safe Upgrade on the website when you first purchased it.
I did not purchase it on the website. I went there in person.
Okay. So if that's the case, then we would have assigned you a random password. So, of course, you will not know that password. So you'll have to do a password reset to reset that password to something you'd know, or have us reset it for you, which we're happy to do.
But I can do it outside the service center hours.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, just click on the reset link, and it'll take you to a page that sends you an email, and then you click on the link in the email, and that confirms your identity basically, and then it brings up a box that says, "What do you want your new password to be?" And you fill in the boxes, and you're good to go.
Okay, got it. I can do that when the service center's not there.
Absolutely, anytime.
That's the end of the meeting.
Alfonso makes that possible.
Okay.
All right, thanks for the call, Al. All right, hey, you have a great afternoon, bud. Thank you for the call. I appreciate it. 888-250-2091. Scammer Roundup time. I know you've all been waiting for it. What are the current tricks that are going on right now? There's a new nasty one. Basically, this is an unusual ransomware attack in that it's kind of become, as we've seen with CHI Health, the big money is going after hospital systems, school systems, like great big organizations that can afford to pay a massive ransom, and you only have to infect one organization. Infecting residential users, it's so cumbersome. You have to infect them, and then they don't know how to use Bitcoin, and they can't afford to hire somebody to do it for them, so they got to learn how to use Bitcoin, and you're giving them tech support help on how to send you money. You know, it's just a pain in the butt, you know? Helping consumers, even the bad guys don't want to do it anymore. Well, that's why this one's unusual. This ransomware attack completely targets home PC users like you with ransoms that they believe are completely affordable at $2,500 a pop. So basically, it's the same old thing. There's nothing magical here. All your stuff gets encrypted. You pay the ransom, you get your stuff back. You don't pay the ransom, you don't get your stuff back. There you go. You have a time frame to pay the ransom. The ransom is paid in Bitcoin. Usually it's North Koreans or Iranians that are behind these kind of hacking operations. But the thing that is unusual about this ransomware attack is that it bypasses almost every consumer security product on the market. The reason they're targeting consumers is because corporations use AI-based antivirus, and therefore there's a higher bar there. But home users using their McAfee or their Norton 360 or their Avast or their Malwarebytes, all of those programs scan for infected files on your hard drive, or infected processes that are saved on your hard drive and running from the hard drive. They provide very little protection against processes that are run directly from memory, run by a trusted application. So why would you have a trusted application running a ransomware infection in memory? Well, let's say that you're on a website and you click on a link. You go to Google and you type in, what type of cable did Thor say to use on the radio today? Enter. And it brings up a website about your different video cables. And you're like, oh, that's interesting. I'll click on that. It looks really informative. Well, actually, it's a fake website that's been put up by the bad guys to look for unsuspecting computer users to infect them with this ransomware. When the website loads on your computer, it loads the virus through JavaScript directly through the web browser. So it never saves the file to your computer. It loads it directly into the memory through your Firefox, Chrome, or Edge browser, and then it runs from memory and encrypts everything on your hard drive. So that's why this is so nasty. So now the reason I'm going down this road, it is so important to recognize when you're being tricked online. And there are so many different ways that people get tricked these days. Number one, the phone calls. No one is ever going to call you about a computer problem unless it's Schrock Innovations or, your trusted, if you're listening somewhere else where there's not a Schrock, you got a trusted computer guy. If your trusted computer guy calls you, well, then you know it's real. But if Google calls you, Google never calls you. If you're a business, Google's never calling you about your map updates or your search engine position updates or anything like that. Google does not call you, period. Number two, unless they're called for selling you ads, though they want to sell you ads, that's a legit call. Number two, Amazon never calls you. Facebook never calls you. Microsoft never calls you. None of these big companies call you ever. Unless they're trying to sell you something, they never call you out of a benevolent reason. Like, oh, we noticed your computer is infected and we want to clean that up for you. That doesn't happen. Ever, 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 ever. Number two, the trickier one, you call them. Now, this can be if you get a pop-up on your screen that says your computer is infected, to call the support number, and you call the number on the screen. This could be a pop-up that comes up and tells you, to run a particular program on your screen, or a pop-up that takes you to a website that loads this ransomware virus thing into your computer's memory. Now, never call the numbers. Never, ever, ever call or chat or deal with anything that pops up on the screen that has to do with your computer's operating speed, security, anything like that. Nobody, and I mean not even Schrock, we don't even do this. Nobody is going to pop up and on your screen and tell you that we've detected you're infected and we need to help you. That's complete bunk. Now, the harder one is when you actually call people because you think you're calling a tech support line, but you're not. So, for example, let's say you're having trouble getting into your Microsoft account and you want to reset your password and you don't like to use all the password reset feature things and enter all the codes, and maybe your phone isn't available and you can't get the text message anymore, or there's something. So you say, I'm going to Google call Microsoft, and it puts a phone number up on the screen. Google gives you that quick answer, with the phone number right there, and you just trust Google, so you call the number. Well, bad guys have engineered Google to show that number based on the way they're manipulating the search engines. And it's not really Microsoft. So you are actually calling the scam number. So I hate to break it to you. You don't call Microsoft. You don't call Amazon typically. If you do, it's because you want a refund on something. You don't call, Facebook. There is no phone number to call Mark Zuckerberg and get your password reset or anything like that. It just doesn't exist. So if you try to do that and you get a phone number, you're not going to get anywhere with that. And if you do get somewhere with that, it's a scam. It's somebody trying to trick you once again. So now we have tried to protect our customers with Sophos a little bit by blocking all remote access software except for the Schrock desk. We can still get you connected if it's a legit connection reason. You just have to get a code from us to put into your Sophos to enable your remote connections for like a 24-hour period. This saves grandma, grandpa, mom, dad, or legitimate person from getting tricked into letting somebody else remote into their computer and do damage. Yay, that's great. Number two, we have programmatically blocked the removal of Sophos now from the computer because the scammers are getting on the phone and saying, I can't remote in. Your Sophos is blocking it. Let's uninstall Sophos so I can get remoted in and help you. And then we'll reinstall it when we're done. They never reinstall it. They just want you to remove it so they can get remoted in. And people were getting tricked into removing it. So we said, now you need a code to remove it. So if you want to remove Sophos, you call us. And you say, I want to remove my Sophos. And we say, all right, are we discontinuing the subscription? We don't give you trouble about it. We're not trying to retain. It's not a customer retention line or anything. It's okay. We just want to make sure you're not getting scammed. And then, we can remove it. Great. Now this is going a level further now. How do you protect somebody from a virus that runs directly from the computer's memory? So in other words, if you hit the reset button on your computer, the virus is gone. But the damage that the virus does can stay. So a ransomware infection starts encrypting your files. You hit the reset button on the computer. The files that are encrypted are still encrypted, and you still have to pay the ransom to get them decrypted. But this virus will run in your computer's memory for as long as it can, as long as that tab is open, basically. So they would lock open a tab that you can't close, and you don't know to hit Alt F4 like we tell you if you call into the service center. Long story short, you need to have antivirus software that has an AI component to it that's monitoring what the computer is doing in real time rather than just what files are being accessed from the hard drive. It sounds self-serving, but Sophos does that. It's one of the very few that do it. It's corporate-grade antivirus available to consumers because of the way that we have engineered the solution. You can't really get it anywhere else. So it's definitely worth a look. But if you are going to stay with whatever you have now, whether that's McAfee, whether that's Norton, whether that's Avast or LifeLock or whatever, if you're going to stay with that right now, make sure that you're being very aware of what pages are opening on your browser, like where you're going on the internet. Be very careful with what you click on. And also remember that if you ever need to if it's an emergency close situation, you need to get out of a program that's a web-based program, Alt F4 on your keyboard. The Alt key and the F4 key will close whatever window you're using on the internet. So if you get the people yelling at you through the microphone or through the speakers, I should say the first thing we do is have you hit Alt F4 to close the window. Then we can have a conversation without someone shouting in the background. I don't know why when people call us with this, they never turn their speakers down. It's like they turn it to max volume in the background, and it's like, hello, can you hear me? In the background, your computer has been infected. Da, da, da. And you're just like, oh, I can't hear you. Can you step into the other room? We've had people like leave the room. Let me step in the other room so we can talk. Okay, I'll go try that. Then you can hear them like walk back into the room because the computer's still talking. You're like, you can just turn off your speakers. It's like then the voice goes away. But people don't think of that. It's kind of weird. It's like, can you turn your speakers off? And then how do I do that? And you're trying to explain it and you're yelling at them through the headset and it's a mess. But Alt F4 gets rid of that, by the way. 888-250-2091. Going to take our final break. Kayla and Greg, your calls coming up next on Compute This.
If you can dream it, Schrock Interactive's website developers can make it happen. Refresh your website, automate sales and marketing, and grow your business today with Schrock Interactive. Some people like desktops for their power and upgradability, but nothing rivals a laptop for computing on the go. But why should you have to sacrifice performance for portability? The innovators at Schrock want our customers to have it all, so we created a new kind of laptop, the solid-state laptop from Schrock Innovations. Solid-state laptops are built using the same frame and mainboards as regular laptops, but we've removed half of the moving parts while more than doubling the computer's speed. The result? Laptops that boot to Windows in 6 seconds or less, respond instantly to your commands, and can survive drops that put most laptops into the data recovery lab. Starting at only $499, solid-state laptops give you speed, reliability, durability, and performance for the same price most people pay for a cheap disposable laptop. The next time you're looking for a laptop, check out the solid-state laptops at SchrockInnovations.com or visit any of our service centers. Simple, solid, fast technology is what we do at Schrock. Compute This Pro Tip 299. There are enough mothballed computers in U.S. homes to give one to every man, woman, and child in the country. Many of these computers find their way into landfills where they can leak cadmium, lithium, and other nasty chemicals into the groundwater. Schrock Innovations is very proud of the fact that we recycle more e-waste every year than we create. You can drop off any old or broken computer equipment to our service centers at any time, free of cost. We only charge $15 just for monitors because they are especially difficult to process. No appointment is required, and we accept all computer-related equipment like printers, keyboards, speakers, and accessories. Additionally, the rare earth elements in computers can be recycled right here in the U.S. to reduce our reliance on supplies from foreign countries. Take a moment, drop off your old computer equipment today, and Schrock will make sure it's properly recycled and put to good use right here in the U.S. This pro tip brought to you by Schrock Innovations Computer Company.
Alrighty, guys, final segment of the program. 888-250-2091. I mentioned the CHI Health situation a little bit earlier in the program. They confirmed this week that it is ransomware that got hit, that hit their organization. Last time around, reportedly, they did not pay the ransom, so I would suspect that this time around, they're not going to want to pay the ransom either. This time around, it was a much deeper infection. It basically impacted more systems this time than in 2019, which is one of the reasons why it's taking them a little bit longer to get up and running. Usually these recoveries, you'll start to see signs of life, like I said, about 2 weeks after the attack. Once recovery and mitigation starts, it takes about 2 weeks to get everything back. So you got a few days because like, what's going on? And then all of a sudden everybody figures out what's going on and the recovery starts. You have to restore backups, you have to restore servers, and then the other problem is before you can restore anything, you have to wipe everything. Because if you restore one system while another system is still infected, it'll just go back and encrypt the one you just fixed. And so we have instances where if you don't figure out how the bad guys got in and seal that entrance point, they just come back and reinfect everything. So that's why it takes a little bit of time to get these things up and running. But we are seeing some signs of life that CHI is coming back online. Some of their systems are starting to become available again, which is good news. And kudos to the tech guys over there. I'm sure they're pulling long hours to get this done. 888-250-2091. Greg, welcome to the program. How can I help you on Compute This today?
Hey, Verizon's offering some Wi-Fi mobile deal, excuse me, for $25 a month. Is that something you can take literally anywhere you go?
Yeah, it's called a hotspot. So it uses the cellular connectivity to provide an internet connection, just like what you have internet on your phone. What it does is it takes that internet connection and it broadcasts it like a Wi-Fi. so that you can join it with a computer or do whatever and get the same access to it. So pretty much every smartphone has the ability to act as a Wi-Fi router now. So there's a couple of thoughts here. Verizon has a device that is intended to act as the router. So they want you to buy that device. And usually it's tied to a data plan that's a little more generous than what you would get on a smartphone because, of course, the whole point of this is to use it for data. But the thing to keep in mind, when you go to cellular connectivity for internet, there is almost always a data cap, a point at which if you exceed this much data, you pay more for it. So that's something to always be cognizant of. It's not unlimited use like, your DSL or your cable modem is, or just a ridiculous amount of use. There's a limit that you are going to hit on that. So that's something to keep in mind. But as far as a portable internet connection goes, it is the way to go. The nice thing, though, is if you have a smartphone, you may not need to purchase that device if you're only using it, occasionally, or you're going to take it on a vacation. Most smartphones have the capability to act as hotspots now. So if you look into the settings on your smartphone, you might be able just to bypass it entirely. Now, if you're looking to use this as a primary internet connection, we do have some customers that do that, especially rural customers that don't have access to other alternatives. If that's you, well, then this is a viable alternative.
All right, that's what I need to know. Thank you.
Hey, no sweat, Greg. Thanks for the call. Kayla, welcome to the program. How can I help you today on Compute This, Kayla?
Good morning, and thank you for taking my call.
No sweat.
Thor, about a year and a half ago, I purchased my laptop from the Schrock Innovation Lincoln store.
Okay.
It's worked great up until earlier this month when I had the Windows 11 update installed. I brought my laptop home, and I've had just issues with having to do hard reboots on it. I took it back into the store. They had it for a week, and when I got it home, opened the computer, and again had to do a hard reboot. It takes well over a minute to a minute and a half just to get to the sign-in page. So everything is significantly slower since I've had the update installed.
Gotcha.
I did talk to them and asked if I having to choose between having Windows 11 or a functioning computer or, that runs at a fairly good speed. And one suggestion was that I could delete the Windows 11 and go back to Windows 10. I'd really prefer to be able to have Windows 11 with a good speed computer.
Right.
Do you have any suggestions for what's causing this or how to resolve it?
Right, and I definitely want to take a look at the tech notes here as well, Kayla, to see kind of what was tested and what the results of those tests were, because Windows 10 and Windows 11 operate at roughly the same speed. So you should not notice any dramatic speed difference based on what the operating system is that you're running. So my guess, if I had to put money on it, is you have a hard drive that is intermittently not working at a proper speed, and that's why they had it for a week. Kayla, I'll get a hold of you after the program. Greg, you're the winner.
From the Amish Furniture of Nebraska studio, your home for made in the USA furniture. This is News Radio 1110 KFAB Omaha. And